Mr. Steve Glass, thank you so much for taking the time today. I know you are a busy fella, just like the rest of us, but you decided to take time out of your busy schedule to chat with me here on the Get Foxy show. So thank you for showing up.
You bet, man. I'm ready. Let's talk. Get Foxy.
Well, Steve, let's just start right in on it here. Photography. You've got a lot of pictures behind you there. For those of the folks that are watching our YouTube channel, you can see a lot of Steve's photographs in the background. They might be pixelated. I don't know. We might be having a technical issue, but you can see a lot of beautiful photography back there. Steve, is photography something that came natural to you? Is this something that you kind of always were doing as a kid, or how did you fall into photography?
That's a great question. Yeah, well, I remember the day when I wanted to become a photographer. I was in college, and I had this great calendar of all like the amazing mountains of the world on my wall. And then I went to the university bookstore, and I was reading an outdoor photographer, this column by this photographer. And I don't remember what he was said, but whatever he said totally grabbed me. And it was on that day, it was very clear. I was like, I want to be a photographer. My path of what I wanted to photograph has always kind of meandered and changed as I've gotten older. Originally, I wanted to do landscapes, outdoor stuff, and outdoor adventures. And then as I've gotten older, it's definitely morphed completely to portraits and just people. So that's where I'm mostly at these days.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like you're primarily working with women right now, at least from what I can see in your background there.
Yes, and that's we're really excited. We have a new product and service we're offering, and we call it Beauty Portraits. And it's this amazing experience. We have a woman will come in, and we do their hair and their makeup. We have a professional makeup artist and hairstylist come in, and they do their hair. They have 7 outfits, 7 looks. And then we do this big shoot here in the studio, and we produce 30 beautiful images. Those are 30 images from a shoot I did with a lady named Dorothy, and she's 75 at the time of her when she got those photos taken. So, and then that's what we do. And then afterwards, about 2 weeks later, you come in, you see this wall of photos, and you get to pick the ones you'd like to purchase. And you don't have to purchase any if you don't love them. So.
That, Steve, is really interesting, because what I just heard you say is that you kind of went from landscapes to women.
Yes.
Now, how does that come about? What made you decide that you wanted to work primarily with women?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So I became interested in photography when I was 19, 20 years old. And then I was a hobbyist for probably into my late 20s, and then I went professional. And as I went professional, I photographed weddings. I photographed a lot of commercial work. That's primarily what I've done over the last 10 years. So photographing things that small businesses might be selling. And then, but in my spare time, the shoots that I always set up was I'd set up these shoots of photographing ladies. And I was never really in the retail market that much. And in the last year, we've just made a big push with the entire photo business to be able to create this product where we're photographing women. So looking back over the years, I knew I always loved photographing women, but I never really thought of like, hey, how can I do this as a business? And so now that's what we're really trying. That's the market we're working towards, and we love it. And it just stems out of this deep belief that all people are created in the image of God, and they're very unique. And with women specifically, all women have a unique beauty, and we want to help bring that beauty out in front of the lens. So that's our goal.
See, now that is right there why I wanted to have you on this show, Steve. You and I, we've known each other a few years, but we haven't worked that closely together. But at the same time, here we are on this parallel track.
Yes.
I started out trying to work with the athletes and the cowboys. And what ended up coming into my office were women 30 to 60, and I couldn't quite figure out why. And as I started delving into this, all of a sudden it was, oh yeah, I got into this work because I wanted to, help my mother, and by extension, serve other women. And the more I started serving women and really seeing the, again, unique beauty inside each of them, because yeah, I too believe we're all created individuals specifically by the good Lord and put on this planet to do something awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And so part of the show is about cultivating and amplifying that unique personal power, that divinely gifted femininity within a woman, because I see that in my work and you see that in yours.
Yep.
And so it amazes me that we end up as men being on this path where we're actually serving women and helping them cultivate their own beauty.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of that, is just a maturation in myself. In my 20s, like a pretty lady would intimidate me, and, she just would. And that is not the case anymore. So I did grow up with a very strong mother and a sister. So I'm very comfortable with women, but in my 20s, I would have never even thought of photographing women because I think I would have been frankly too nervous. So, yes.
Well, now, what is it that you do with your work that kind of helps a woman get comfortable behind the lens? Because I mean, when you're taking photographs, I mean, this can be a very vulnerable kind of position, especially if you're not comfortable being seen, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And every once in a while I have to have my photo taken, and it's always a good reminder of how uncomfortable it can be. And so I think first and foremost, during the shoot, it's just a very comfortable environment. They come in first and they get their hair and their makeup done, and our stylist is a lady, so she's talking with them, having a great time. And then once we start, typically my wife assists me, but if she's not assisting me, there's another woman assistant here. So the environment's just fun. There's music, and also a lot of the big questions of, well, I don't know how to pose, or I don't know what to do with my hands. We walk you through all of that. So really all you have to do is, I'll say show up. We've had typically a few phone conversations before the day of the shoot. So that way the shoot goes well. But once you get here, it's pretty fun. And as long as you have a willingness, it goes well, and somehow we're able to make people feel comfortable. And I think I think a lot of that just comes from everyone who I work with. We all like people a lot, and we want them to feel really comfortable, and we want it to be a very special experience for them. So yes.
How did this idea really come about? I mean, I don't know if I've heard of any other photographers, at least in the local area that we're at here in Northern Colorado, who are doing something like this, where they have you come in, put together 7 looks. And that's something I'm kind of interested in. Are you helping them put together those looks? Do you have someone who is like a style consultant that helps them do that, or is that something they do on their own?
So that's a great question. So the idea, there's a lady, it's Sue Bryce, she does education for photographers. That's where I found the idea fully. But like I said before, I found her work. What I would do in my spare time when I would go shoot on my own, I would set up shoots with gals, and we do these really cool, fun, kind of stylized shoots. So Sue Bryce was the one who was able to help me bring it kind of into a fruition, into a business model. But as far as the styling goes, yeah, so we help them. Typically it's me. And so far we've been working with stuff that's in the ladies' wardrobe. Eventually we'd love to have some more things, some more gowns and dresses in our studio. But we'll walk through and we'll help them use the existing wardrobe they have. So that way we get great images. If I, let me answer that question. Well, I have a few photos I could show that might kind of go through the process a little bit and answer some of those questions if you'd like to kind of see those and hear about that a little more.
Okay. That's something we could probably set up on the show page.
Okay.
You can send me those images, and then we can put those along in the show notes, and then that way folks can actually see what we're talking about here.
Right. Well, and actually, let me. Can I show a couple right now? I have some right in front of me. So, yeah. So this. Look at that. I'm prepared. What do you know? This lady, gorgeous lady. This is what she looks like 99% of the time. This is my wife. She never wears makeup. Maybe once or twice a year, twice on a big year. And she doesn't have her hair done, no makeup. She's just wearing a jacket that she'd wear to work. So with professional hair and makeup and styling, again, we just use what was in her closet. It jumps to, this sort of image. And yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. And one of the things I want to point out is my wife doesn't wear makeup. I'm going to hold it there. There's a little reflection on her otherwise. She wanted her makeup to look very natural. And so the idea was that she doesn't actually, you don't see the makeup. So that's what we do. And we just go through and again, using existing wardrobe. This was a gown, an evening gown she'd had for like 12 years, it had been stuffed in the closet. And I hadn't seen it worn, I think, except for once. So we were able to use that. So again, it's just right now we're using the existing wardrobe of the woman, but we can encourage them to shop. But we do go through the styling. We have a styling consultation, which we do over the phone or Skype, and we just talk through everything. And so by the time the shoot gets here, most of the variables have been eliminated, if that makes sense. We've talked about all the different outfits and the different things that the ladies would like to portray.
That is really cool. For those of you listening in and you wanted to see those photos, you can check them out right there on YouTube on the Get Foxy Show channel on YouTube, or Steve may also graciously supply us with some of those images that we can put in the show notes. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, for sure.
But that is really cool that you will go in and you will help these ladies put together a look from their own closet.
Yeah.
I mean, that is some value right there. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's very cool. And we've done ones where all of this has been done over the phone or Skype, so it's great. So I can still be in my office, and if the ladies in Denver, for example, like one of my clients is, we can do this all via technology, which is great. And it works out really well, but we can tailor the shoot to what she would like. So for example, one lady, she wanted some corporate headshots in there, but then she wanted some non-corporate stuff. So it was a way she could kind of do both. So we had outfits that were very feminine and beautiful, and a little more sexy, for lack of words, and then ones that were more corporate, more professional, something you could use as a bio on your website. And one of the great things with it too is, again, what I make the argument that every woman can photograph just as beautifully as any of the Hollywood actresses or models that we see, if four things are attended to. And those four things are professional hair, professional makeup, styling, and of course, professional photography. And one of the things with makeup, I photographed my mom. She's 75 years old. It's not that lady behind me, but she didn't want anyone to do her makeup, but we were able to talk her into it, and her photos turned out absolutely beautiful. But the makeup that is worn for a photography session it's significantly different than what a lady would wear out for just day to day. So I don't know the ins and outs of that, but that's why we have a professional makeup artist who does know that.
That really brings some pretty big value to your service as well. I mean, I wouldn't have known that there would be a difference between, but then I guess if stage makeup when you're up in theater is a lot different than what you would wear. So, um, yeah, that makes sense that when you're being photographed, your makeup would be different than what you would wear out on a daily basis as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Out of all the women that you've worked with so far, who's had what you would consider to be the most outstanding transformation?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think every woman has photographed absolutely stunning. There's no question about it. Um, so I don't know if I could say the most phenomenal or like the largest transformation. But I do know that I have a few more before and afters. I'll show those to you. How about we do that? And again, what I want to say too, because in many ways it's kind of like a makeover, but we're hoping it's much deeper than that. And we're trying to capture the very essence of the lady being photographed. And to do that optimally, we take care of the hair, makeup, and help with the styling. So that's what we're going for. I would have to talk to each lady to find out who thinks it was the most transformative, honestly. But so far I've gotten fabulous feedback from all the gals, and I can read you a quote in a little bit. But here's another gal. Normal day, no hair, no makeup. And then when we took care of styling, hair, and makeup, and professional photography, again, I make the argument that her beauty is as wonderful and as great as any Hollywood actress.
That is definitely a big change there.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And so same lady here. And on this particular image, too, one of the things, and I've mentioned it already, but we take care of all the directional posing, because like you were saying early on, when you're in front of a camera, it is like, what do you do? Most people are very awkward in front of a camera, but our goal is to make you feel at ease very quickly and then direct you through the poses. So as long as you're a willing participant, we can make the images look fabulous. And that's my challenge to everyone. I'm like, I challenge every lady out there. Like, if you've never had a good photo of yourself, then you need to come talk to me, because I think I can make great photos of you, in fact. Here's another before. And then when we had the professional hair and makeup, styling and photography, again, as beautiful as any Hollywood actress.
Good grief. Yeah, that just pops. Her personality just pops right through that image.
Yes. And what I love too is she's a performer, and she's quite the character. She's also, she actually ran a photography business for many years. Her and I ran a business together for a while, of a wedding photography business. But again, her image just pops off the print, and I love that. So that's our goal, is to capture that character of each woman, but within each photo, bringing out a unique beauty. So that's what we're trying to do here. And man, we love it. It's absolutely a blast, and it's just a really great experience. Yeah.
That is one of those things that I really enjoy about my work, is that through the aesthetic and facial acupuncture, when I have a woman come off my table and look in the mirror and just light up, because it's like, oh my gosh, look how soft and radiant and glowing I am. Yes. I can imagine it's a similar experience for you with the gals that you work with, when they look at those images and just light up because they see how truly beautiful they are.
Right. Absolutely. And what was cool is my sister, lovely gal, she is 4 years older than me, so she's mid-40s. And after I did the photo shoot with our mom, my sister actually cried when she saw the images, which is so cool, because my sister is she's very animated, but she's not emotional, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I've never seen her cry for my 41 years of life, or 42, I guess is now how old I am. But she cried when she saw these images of my mom. So for example, here's this is my mom. She's 75 there. This was the lady that's like, no one's gonna do my makeup, but she allowed us to do the makeup, and it was so great. Here's just a few more images.
Good
Of my
grief.
mom. And what's so great about these is my mom's 75. She's in good health. She's mobile and she can get around. And we're so happy that we were able to get these really wonderful images of her while she's still healthy. And so I think this one really captures her. She's dancing. That's definitely my mom, just kind of this happy.
Yeah, she looks amazing.
So now we have these 30 images. They've become treasures basically for both my sister and I, and as well as our brother, and it's really cool. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do here.
What I understand is that most women really, after high school, you don't get your class pictures anymore. You might get a photo for your wedding if you're getting married, and then after that you really don't get photos of yourself done all that often. Maybe a professional headshot here and there if you're an entrepreneur, but not all of us are in that kind of profession.
Right.
How often would you recommend that someone get photos done?
I think it'd be amazing if ladies say, God, first of all, you're right. Your senior portrait, if you get married, there's a good chance you might have had professional photography. And after that, you don't get your picture professionally taken. Most people don't. And there's a few corporate folks that might have professional headshots from time to time. But I think it would be, I would say once a decade would be amazing. It would be an amazing thing for the people that love you. So for your husband, for your children, for example, these images of my wife, my kids are going to freak out when they're in their 30s and they're going to be like, whoa, mom was really good looking, and that's one of the cool things about this experience for the ladies that come in is it's kind of like a day off. So if you're a mom and you're in the thick of raising children like my wife was when we did her photo shoot about a year ago, our children are 9, 7, and 3 at that time. And any of the parents out there know how exhausting that can be. And so for a woman to have pretty much from about 8:45 till 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, this day that's devoted to capturing her beauty is great. And then what we always say is, hey, plan a date out that night because you're all dolled up anyway. So make a reservation at your favorite restaurant and call some of your girlfriends or your spouse and go out and have a great evening afterwards.
I got to ask you, Steve, I ask this of all my guests. What is your definition of Foxy? What does Foxy and being Foxy mean to Steve Glass?
Oh, being Foxy to Steve Glass. I think with women, it's I think there's a living into that person you are, acknowledging who you are, that beauty, and a certain amount of confidence. And also, I think a kindness. I think a kindness in all people, men and women, is always super beautiful and foxy. So, it's both. It's presenting yourself well, but also having living into that person you're designed to be, as well as a deep kindness to those people you're interacting with. That would be my take on Foxy, I think.
And who do you think embodies that kind of Foxy in your world?
In my world, I think my wife does. I think my mom does. I think my sister does. So yeah, all the closest women in my life are very foxy in their own right. They're also very opinionated, which is great. So I would say all three of those ladies do that for sure.
And what would be one piece of advice that you could share with our listeners about how to present yourself in your best fashion?
That's a great one. And I get that question all the time. And the question usually comes to me is like, what should I wear? And let's say they're not doing the full beauty portrait, but a businesswoman calls up and wants a headshot. And they're like, the question is always, what should I wear? And I always answer, for the most part, I can photograph whatever you wear just fine. Because sometimes you hear like, oh, don't wear white, or don't wear darks, or don't wear bold patterns. And what I've learned over the last 11 years is I'm like, wear what you feel really good in and what makes you feel good about yourself. And from there, everything else flows. So if you feel good wearing a dress, wear a dress. If you're more of a jeans and a t-shirt girl, then put jeans and a t-shirt on. And that's my recommendation, wearing stuff that you feel comfortable in. And that makes you feel good. So yeah, it's pretty simple actually.
Isn't that interesting how what we wear can sometimes affect our demeanor?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and when you're feeling good about what you're in, and you're not so worried about what you look like, but just how you feel. And if you're feeling good, isn't that amazing how that comes through in an image?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the perfect example is we've all had the yard work day where we got to get up and mow the yard, rake the leaves. You put on your dirty clothes, right? And you go out and you feel good to go work, but you don't want to go do acupuncture. I don't want to meet a client and photograph them when I'm all head to toe in grimy clothes. Then when I put on my photography clothes or the clothes I'm going to go out and present myself to the world, I feel like I'm ready to meet the world. And I think though, that sort of example, just like if you're in your pajamas, you're ready to be at home and watch a movie, but you don't want to be out and about. So I do think it's very important. What you wear for the occasion is a very important thing, because it definitely drives our emotions and our feelings, or it can.
Yeah. I agree 100%. That's why I show up to work in a tie nowadays.
That's good. And it's funny, I've actually been wearing a tie off and on to certain jobs. I haven't worn a tie for years professionally, and something in the last probably 6 months, I've occasionally put a tie on for certain clients. So yeah, it's nice.
Well, Steve, how can people find out more about your work?
Very simple. The best way would be go to my website. My last name is Glass, Glass, like a window. So glassphotography.com. And if you go there, you're going to come to a choice. It's going to say portrait studio or commercial editorial. Click on the portrait studio and you'll start getting the information there. And what I would say is reach out to me, send me an email, give me a phone call, and we can talk through the process. Because again, it's a big shoot, and there needs to be some conversation to explain the whole thing.
Bet. Well, Steve, we are, if you can believe it already, we're up on time. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us here on the Get Foxy Show. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
All right. Thank you, Terry, for having me.